Here we're going to talk about how to customize Chronicle setup for your marketing. To do this customization, go into the main system setup under your management tools on your homepage. If main system setup is not there, use edit tools on the homepage and pick main system setup. First of all, in the main system setup, go to the Departments tab and find your marketing department. Make sure that the Require Activity for Journals and Tasks column is set to Yes for that department. To change that, simply double-click, click Yes, and click OK. This is going to make sure that Chronicle collects the activities that are needed for certain later marketing analysis. The next thing you need to do, with that same marketing department selected, go to the Activities sub-tab and make sure that the Marketing Activities list reflects the primary marketing actions that you take. It's important that this list be relatively short. You probably want at least 3 or 4. You probably don't want more than 7 or 8. You're looking for the main types of marketing actions that people take: face-to-face visits, phone calls, meals and entertainment. Chronicle is going to use this in tracking what actions people have taken and what the correlation is between the actions and the results. If you define too many actions, you're going to find that the reports are too complicated to give you really useful analysis. To add a new activity to this list, click the New Activity button and type in the name of the new action that you want to track. You also want to make sure that you have the appropriate job roles set up. Job roles are set up on the Job Roles tab. The most important role from a marketing perspective is the role of referrer. Consider 2 possible situations. 20 jobs come in where the customer has said that a particular agent is their insurance agent. If 18 of those people say that agent referred you to them, that agent is really significant as a marketing source. On the other hand, if the agent hadn't referred you to any of them, from a marketing perspective, that agent is relatively worthless. They're not sending any work your way. The role of referrer lets you, in the job file, identify not only who is associated with the job, who is the agent, who is the adjuster, who is the subcontractor, but it also lets you specify which of those people actually referred the customer to you. If you don't have the role of referrer in the list, add it with the Add button above the list. Now, having the role of referrer doesn't do any good if employees don't specify who the referrer is. So the next step is to return to the Department tab, and for each production department, select the department and go to the Required Roles tab and indicate that referrer has to be there, either that the employee will be prevented from completing the department if referrer isn't there, or at least that the employee is warned if that role isn't there. Adjust that by clicking Change Role Requirements. Next to the role of referrer, click the drop-down at the right. If that role was a must-have before the job is done, we can say we want to prevent the user from closing the job screen if that's a role that we can have immediately. Warn every time someone tries to close the job file, or we can just warn when the user completes the department. For each production department, that role of referrer is either required or highly recommended. Set up a role requirement. The next piece of setup that we need to make sure is correct is within the Categories tab. There are several different categories that we want to make sure are correct. First of all, we want to make sure that we have the appropriate choices in job sources, and that for each of those job sources that we have appropriate subsources. Use the New Category button to add to the category list. Use the Add button in the subcategory list to add additional subcategories. Having the right job sources in this list, both having all that are appropriate and not having any that don't apply, is going to be useful when you start analyzing your marketing. You can run graphs by job source to see numbers of jobs and value of work coming from each source. In addition, when you're looking at the job financial report, you can filter that report by source to see which jobs have come from which source. In addition to the job sources, you also want to check the categories for marketing contact dates to make sure that you have the appropriate categories. And for your marketing expenses, identify the main types of expenses that you incur. This is going to help when tracking the expenses incurred in marketing to individual people or offices. Finally, if you have work in different cities or different regions, make sure that the regions that you need are defined on the Cities and Regions tab. To add a new region, click Add Region. If the region corresponds to a county, simply pick the state that the county is in. Pick the county that you're interested in. Chronicle will automatically name the region and then click OK. Chronicle then sets up a region that contains the zip codes within that county. If you prefer, you can manually define a region, type in a name, and then indicate that you want to manually put in zip codes, enter each zip code that you want in that particular region, and once again click OK. The regions that you define here can be used to filter the job financial report so that you can see numbers of jobs and amount of work in any region for any period of time. In addition to the setup described here, make sure that you define the appropriate groups of people. Creating groups is discussed in a separate video.